Welcome, everyone. We'll be starting in a few minutes. Bienvenidos a todos. Gracias por estar con nosotros esta noche. Vamos a comenzar en unos cuantos minutos. Let us know you're here and join us in the chat throughout the night.
Welcome, welcome, everyone. We're so excited to be here tonight with all of you. So many of you are already here. We see many of you starting to come into this virtual space along with us. So welcome. Bienvenidos. Si están escuchando el programa en español, por favor den clic al enlace de interpretación que está abajo para que puedan escuchar en español. Bienvenidos. Please and share our event on social media. The hashtag is hashtag MRNY Gala. We're gonna want to make sure that we get a lot of shout outs via social media tonight.
And we're humbled by all of the lovely ads and messages of support. You can check them out. Please check them out on our Gala website under Gala Journal. And again, thank you so much for being with us this evening.
We wish we were in person, but one of the nice things is we're imagining you all with your families, with your children, with your loved ones, watching on screen with all of us. So your whole family can get a sense of the amazing work we've all done this year.
We're here, though. That's what's important. We're here. We're together. We're going to celebrate. And we're going to talk about the remarkable work of our team over the course of the last year.
We hope that you put your gala outfit on because we are ready to start the program in just a few seconds. And Jose is ready to dance tonight, too. Welcome, everybody. We see you coming in. We're going to start in a few seconds. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Gracias de verdad por estar con nosotros en esta noche tan especial de nuestra gala.
Grab your drink now, whatever that is. Go get that drink. Come back to your screens. We're going to have a good time tonight.
So many people joining us. It's so exciting. Look at all the people filing in. It's great. So great to be in community with all of you.
Don't forget to use the hashtag MRNYGala. We want to see all your pictures, all your comments, all your love and messages. No olviden usar el hashtag. No sé cómo se dice en español, pero no olviden usarlo en social media. Y es MRNY Gala. Queremos ver sus fotos, sus comentarios.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Theo Oshiro, and I am one of Make the Road New York's co-executive directors. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We wish we could have gathered in person, but we're glad to be with all of you in this virtual format. And please join in the conversation in the chat so that we can feel more connected and know that you're here with us.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Arlenis Morel, and I'm a co-executive director. Since April, Jose, Theo, and I have had the incredible honor of leading this organization along with Becca Telsack, Deputy Director, and Sienna Fontaine, General Counsel. Jose, Theo, and I have been members and staff of Make the Road for nearly 20 years each, but the past 7 months has given us new appreciation for the power and beauty of this community. Throughout the crisis of the past 20 months, our members have faced dangerous working conditions, suffered the loss of family and friends, and lost livelihoods. We at Make the Road worked around the clock to provide support, resources, and relief to help them survive. But even in the worst moments, as our members struggled to stay afloat, pay rent, and afford food, we remain clear in our resolve to organize for dignity and justice. Not only did we demand policies to meet new needs that emerged during this crisis, we continue to push for what our communities have always needed to thrive. Together with our members, we organized some of the boldest campaigns in our history. We won victories that we were deemed impossible and policies that are now changing the lives of millions of people across the states. Tonight, we celebrate these victories. We celebrate the power of our movement and our community. All of you who sustain us as we continue to fight for real dignity and justice.
Each year, our Dignity, Community, and Power Awards are presented to leaders who have made tremendous contributions to our movement. Tonight, we are so thrilled to celebrate these incredible honorees. The 24 Make the Road New York members who put their bodies on the line to fund excluded workers. Jerry Maldonado, the outgoing director of cities and states at the Ford Foundation, and Juan Gonzalez and Amy Goodman, co-hosts of Democracy Now! Thank you to our honorees for your contributions to our movement and for joining us tonight. We also want to take a moment to recognize the organizations and individuals who made this event possible. Thank you to tonight's sponsors and host committee, who include long-term supporters as well as new allies, and we couldn't have done this work without you. Your generous partnership supports our programs and our services and helps us keep winning what our communities need to not only survive, but to thrive. It's so heartening to know you're here with us tonight and joining in the chat. We're so grateful to be in this work with each and every one of you. Your support means the world to us. Now we will hear from some of our members about the work they helped lead.
Me involucré en la organización Haciendo Camino en Nueva York Trip, donde pues se me dio la mano para ayudarme como mujer trans. ¿Y cuál es la que más me ha motivado y me siento orgullosa? Pues la campaña de Caminar mientras es trans. Yo creo que ese es un punto muy importante, ¿verdad? Que se toque, porque así ya vamos a poder andar libres de caminar sobre la calle. Ya no la policía te va a hostigar. Fuimos a la oficina del vocero a exigir que pues tratara de ayudarnos para eliminar, o sea, él como vocero, eliminar Caminando mientras es trans. Entonces yo creo que pues el resultado fue positivo. Mateo nos hizo un comunicado que teníamos una reunión, que tenía una noticia que darnos por Zoom, y yo siempre estoy ahí presente, ¿verdad? Y cuando nos dijo que ganamos Caminando mientras es trans, que ya pasó la ley, pues me sentí muy emocionada, lloré de emoción, porque ahí está parte de mi lucha, seguir luchando. Ganamos una, vamos por la otra.
Yo he estado envuelta en la campaña de educación, porque eso beneficia a todos los niños de Nueva York en general, y es como una ayuda para que tengan mejores programas o vuelvan los programas que antes había, porque antes había más programas y los quitaron, y creo que es tiempo de que regresen esos programas. Son importantes para los estudiantes porque les ayuda mucho. porque mi hija, cuando yo pedí esa ayuda, a ella le ayudó muchísimo. Ella estaba atrasada en una materia y al tener esa ayuda, ella pudo pasar esa materia. El dinero que se ganó para las escuelas, que es una victoria que me siento orgullosa en eso, en haber estado en eso, porque lo logramos. Yo he estado envuelta en esta campaña, he ido a Albany, he dejado mis miedos para poder hablar ante la prensa, hablar ante mucha gente, algo que yo no pensé que pudiera hacer, pero por esta campaña lo he hecho.
El año antepasado fue muy duro, yo creo que no nada más para mí, sino para todos. Lamentablemente me descansaron del trabajo a mí y a mi marido al mismo tiempo, ¿no? Fue un estrés demasiadamente grande el no poder pagar la renta, porque el recurso más importante es la renta, ¿no? Lo que fue la comida, yo me dirigía mucho a las organizaciones donde regalaban despensa. Yo iba y me formaba y adquiría la despensa, ¿no? Lo que a mí me interesó más fue que nos olvidaron en un año de pandemia donde no nos dieron ni un peso, no nos dieron nada, y sabiendo que nosotros como personas aportamos a este país, trabajamos y aportamos económicamente, hacemos impuestos, y que por no tener un social o un papel no nos apoyaron, ¿no? Entonces eso fue lo que a mí dije, no, esto es algo injusto, donde todas las personas yo creo que tenemos los mismos derechos para todo.
Queremos que nuestra voz sea escuchada, necesitamos un alivio de renta que funcione para nuestras comunidades y lo necesitamos ya. ¿Se puede? ¡Sí!
Estas dos victorias se llevaron a cabo gracias a huelgas, marchas, tomas de puentes, conferencias de prensa en frente de las oficinas de los gobernadores. Para mí la siguiente campaña importante es migración. Ese es uno de las campañas que yo pienso apoyar más, porque va a ser un beneficio para toda la comunidad inmigrante.
¡Se puede!
La lucha por la reforma migratoria es importante para mí porque yo tengo 2 hijas Dreamers y sí me gustaría que ellas pudieran tener acceso a muchas cosas teniendo la residencia.
La reforma migratoria es muy, muy importante para mí porque tendríamos un estatus legal aquí, no estaríamos escondiéndonos por nada, ¿verdad? Tendríamos buscar un trabajo y, como vuelvo y repito, seguir trabajando. Yo creo que sí es muy importante tener un estatus legal, como más que nada a mi comunidad LGBTQ y a las chicas trans.
Yo siempre he dicho que en la unión se hace la fuerza. Y yo creo que si todos nos ponemos un granito de arena para seguir luchando, podemos hacerlo. Porque a veces muchas personas no quieren hacerlo. Yo creo que se oiría mucho más.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jose Lopez, Make the Road New York's third co-executive director. I'm a product of our Youth Power Project. Thank you, Kathy, Maria, and Noemi, for sharing your stories in our video. And to all of our members for making those victories possible. But there is still so much more work ahead, many more fights to be won. As Maria said, it will take all of us to win. In unity, there is strength. Please help us continue organizing by donating now. Please give as generously as you can by clicking on the donate link in the chat box. We are stronger together. Thank you so much. This year, we've seen what our communities are capable of and what we can achieve together. We want to be absolutely clear. We won't accept anything less than real dignity, and we have shown that we can and will win what we deserve. Our first honorees tonight are Make the Road New York members who were critical leaders in one of the most significant victories in our organization's history. They led a 23-day hunger strike with workers from across the state, helping to win the Fund for Excluded Workers. We were able to gather with them in person to celebrate and present this award, and we are excited to share that moment with you now.
Antes de pasarle el micrófono a Arlene, solamente quería darle las gracias. Verdaderamente ha sido un año y medio muy difícil para nuestra comunidad. Esta pandemia nos ha tocado en varias maneras. En Make the Road hemos perdido más de 90 personas debido a esta crisis de salud. Hemos perdido trabajos, salarios, familiares, apartamentos. Mucho ha pasado en el último año y medio. Y fue, para mí, que estaba aquí por más de 20 años, fue el momento más difícil que he visto como ciudad y también como organización, ¿no? Y lo que decidieron hacer ustedes durante este momento tan difícil es luchar, ¿no? Es decir, que en un país y en un estado tan rico no debemos de tener una estructura donde los inmigrantes que trabajan, los inmigrantes que dan tanto, los inmigrantes que pagan impuestos, toditos nosotros que damos tanto, que durante este momento cuando necesitamos la respalda del gobierno, que el gobierno no nos da esa respalda. Y lo que decidieron hacer más de 3 semanas en huelga es algo muy admirable. Yo estaba aquí por mucho tiempo y nunca he visto este tipo de esfuerzo. Le voy a pasar el micrófono a mi compañera Arlenis y después cuando llega la salsa a bailar un poco. Gracias.
Compañeros, gracias por estar aquí. Gracias por todo el trabajo que ustedes han hecho, no solamente durante este año y medio que ha sido tan difícil, pero por todos los años que yo sé que tienen luchando en esta organización, en sus comunidades y tratando de siempre luchar por el respeto y la dignidad que todos nos merecemos. Su sacrificio aseguró un fondo de $2.1 mil millones para los trabajadores escolares. en el país. Hoy, familias en todo el estado que fueron excluidos han recibido ese alivio. Es un honor absoluto presentar el premio de poder a los 24 miembros de Make the Road New York, que lideraron una huelga de hambre para asegurar la victoria en la lucha para los trabajadores excluidos. 2 de esos huelguistas, Amador Rivas y Ruby Rendón, hablarán en nombre de todo el grupo. Amador y Ruby, si pueden acercarse.
Mi nombre es Amador Rivas y soy un miembro del Grupo de Trabajadores en Acción de Se Hace Camino en Nueva York. Nuestra querida organización, que junto a una coalición de trabajadores multiculturales, multirraciales y miembros de todas las comunidades de Nueva York, hicieron esta histórica campaña. Durante esta lucha, que duró un tiempo agitadamente corto, hicimos un sinnúmero de acciones y para mí ocurrieron cosas muy importantes que me dieron una nueva percepción del futuro desarrollo de la lucha, el colectivismo y la solidaridad entre cada uno de nosotros y entre grupos diferentes. Mientras nosotros estábamos en esta campaña, que culminó con la huelga de hambre, millones de trabajadores en todo el mundo y diferentes comunidades del planeta estaban siendo muchos de ellos masacrados por las fuerzas represivas por pedir cosas similares. Colombia, Haití, Chile, en Europa y África. La huelga de hambre fue muy importante, pero no fue lo que definió la victoria. La victoria la definió toda la lucha de la clase trabajadora y de las comunidades, incluidos nuestros hermanos campesinos y nuestros queridos indígenas. No me siento alguien especial por haber iniciado esta huelga, como sé también que ustedes sienten lo mismo. Mi respeto y admiración a las personas que se mantuvieron durante todos los días de la huelga. De todas maneras, gracias por este reconocimiento, que debe ser un reconocimiento al esfuerzo de todos los que tuvimos presentes en todas las agitadas jornadas de sacrificio bajo una pandemia. Esto demuestra una vez más lo que es capaz la clase trabajadora y las organizaciones comunitarias organizadas. Por último, me siento muy orgulloso de ser parte de los millones de trabajadores y de las comunidades que en todo el mundo luchan para dejar de ser lo que somos hoy, esclavos asalariados y que también nos traten como seres humanos. Hasta la victoria siempre. Muchas gracias. Trabajadores unidos jamás serán vencidos. Trabajadores unidos jamás serán vencidos. Las luchas obreras no tienen fronteras. Las luchas obreras no tienen fronteras. Este puño sí se ve. Los obreros al poder. Este puño sí se ve. Los obreros al poder.
Bueno, buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Rubiela Rendona Unta y mi pronombre es ella. Es un orgullo para mí estar hoy aquí en este acogedor lugar con todos ustedes para celebrar la gran victoria de los fondos para trabajadores excluidos. Hoy pueden ver en mi rostro la satisfacción que tengo de estar aquí con ustedes celebrando esta victoria, porque sé que se sienten alegres y contentos de haber formado parte de esta campaña que ha cambiado el rumbo de nuestra vida y de las miles de trabajadores que ya habían perdido la fe y la esperanza de salir adelante. Compañeros, nosotros hicimos historia con esta victoria. Y eso fue posible porque desde el momento que decidimos formar parte de la campaña, estuvimos dispuestos a poner nuestras vidas en peligro para salvar muchos que se morían de hambre. Después de haber sacado este país adelante, porque sabemos que son en la economía de este país y eso no es justo. Compañeros, voy a compartir un poco de la historia de esta campaña. Empezó con las reuniones de los líderes, la llamada los jueves a las 11. Dormimos en la calle. Continuamos con la marcha hacia la oficina del gobernador. Y no olvidemos cuando cerramos el puente Brooklyn. Eso fue maravilloso. Participar en esta huelga de hambre es una de las mejores cosas que me han pasado en la vida. Y sé que para ustedes también, porque durante los 18 días sin comer, pensaba en mi comunidad, en los beneficios que esto traería a nuestras familias para poder, ejemplo, poner un plato en la mesa, darle a sus hijos comida para medicina y para la ropa de sus hijos, medicamentos entre algunos. Todo que realmente me ayudó, pero lo que realmente me ayudó a controlar el hambre fue la rabia de saber que mientras el pueblo moría de hambre, los millonarios cada día duplicaban sus riquezas. Quiero dejar claro que esta victoria nos fortalece y nos da la fuerza para continuar luchando y no vamos a parar hasta lograr ganar estos fondos permanentemente. Antes de terminar, quiero reconocer que el compañerismo, la entrega del staff, el cuidado de unos a otros que teníamos, el apoyo mutuo y de la comunidad a los huelguistas, el amor con el que nos trataron los voluntarios hicieron que estos días se convirtieran en una experiencia inolvidable. Se pudo, se puede y se podrá, porque sigamos luchando. Esto no termina aquí. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias a todos los huelguistas.
Congratulations again to the hunger strikers. Thank you for inspiring us through your leadership, courage, and determination. Unfortunately, the fight to fund excluded workers isn't over in New York. The huge demand for the program depleted the funds faster than expected. We're fighting to get an additional $3 billion for the program in next year's state budget to ensure that all New Yorkers get the relief that they need and deserve. Please support these efforts by donating now. Please be as generous as you can by clicking on the donate link in the chat box. Together, we will win this fight again.
I started as a health advocate at Make the Road New York back in 2005, supporting community members access life-saving health services. So I take immense pride in the crucial services that we provide in response to urgent community needs. Demand for these services surged in the last year and a half. Our food pantries have provided meals to 1,100 families a week, and our team is helping those devastated by Hurricane Ida access life-saving relief. We know that vaccine accessibility is absolutely essential, so we've been deploying vaccine vans to community events and to our community centers. Our legal team has been ensuring that New Yorkers can access all of the state relief that we fought for and won, as well as helping workers demand workplace safety protections and to recover stolen wages. Our Bushwick campus community school continue to provide caring, holistic support for students throughout remote learning and as they transition back to in-person classes. Not only do we respond to crises, we invest in our members, helping them develop the skills and acquire the knowledge to more fully participate in civic life, to stand up for their rights, and to find decent employment. Please invest in all of our work by taking a moment to donate now. Your support makes a huge difference to all of us. Thank you so much. We will pause briefly. Our next honoree is someone who has made so much of this work possible, including our fights for transformational change. He is someone who truly understands the need for real partnership, for grassroots power, and for meaningful investment in frontline communities.
I'm incredibly honored to present the Community Award to Jerry Maldonado, Director of Cities and States at the Ford Foundation. We first met Jerry when he was beginning his career at Ford 15 years ago. He quickly became a friend, supporter, and a mentor to all of us, and especially to our predecessor, Javier Valdez. He has been a true advocate for our movement. He has organized funders to make long-term and large-scale investments in movement organizations so that we can win transformative change. We can't think of a moment when Jerry hasn't been there for us and our communities. Last year, Jerry lost his mother, Luz Maria Maldonado, to COVID. In that moment of so much personal loss, he asked his friends and family to donate to our COVID fund in her memory. That support went directly to help families afford food and funeral expenses to get through that very difficult time. Thank you, Jerry. Over and over, he showed he believed in us, even when we were not sure ourselves. With his support, we were able to expand to Westchester, win major victories for affordable housing, and undertake an ambitious strategic plan. Countless organizations across New York share the same love for Jerry and deep appreciation for his partnership. Tonight, Jerry, we are thrilled to present you with the Community Award.
Gracias, mi gente. Lenny, muchísimas gracias. Gracias for this incredibly beautiful award. Te digo desde el fondo de mi corazón. Le doy gracias por las palabras tan cariñosas that you just shared. And it is such an honor for me to be here alongside so many of the incredible honorees that you guys are recognizing tonight. You know, I have to say that for me, it's really been one of the most incredible blessings of my career to partner with Make the Road over the past decade and really support your growth as a real force for change in New York and across the country. And I still remember actually my first meeting with Javier and Deb way back when they were just starting in their new roles as co-EDs over at Make the Road. And I remember coming out of that meeting feeling really inspired by this vision that they had, right, of really growing a member-led organization that unapologetically centered like the voices and needs and power of Latinx, immigrant, queer, youth communities to really kind of transform this whole big range of systems, right? They were talking about transforming housing and education and schools and the criminal justice system that for decades had failed our communities. But then I also remember coming out of that meeting and asking myself, okay, now how the hell are we going to fund that, right? Because like at that time, I remember that we were in the midst of what seemed like a never-ending set of internal strategy transitions, right? And that Make the Road didn't fit neatly into any of our technocratic policy issues because you didn't compartmentalize your identities, your dreams or your hopes to fit into like the very neat and narrow theories of change that we had. And so leaving that conference room, I remember how clearly the vision that y'all had kind of challenged, right? The blinders that we in philanthropy too often create for ourselves, you know? And I was moved by the way that you were inviting us to challenge us to both fully believe and invest in our community's capacity for self-determination. It wasn't just about policy. It wasn't about practice. Fundamentally, it was about dignity and self-determination. And so I remember leaving that meeting and walking to the elevator and thinking to myself, okay, game on. I've got to figure out a way to move resources to actually make this happen. Because to me, you know, that struggle, you know, your struggle is deeply personal. You know, as a Boricua who was born and raised in public housing, the son of proud Puerto Rican farmers who were displaced from the island, who had to work double shifts just to make ends meet, you know, my lived experience has fundamentally shaped my approach to philanthropy. It's helped me recognize that the role of our sector has to be to challenge the status quo, not sustain it, both inside our institutions and outside, right? Our job is to expand the realm of possibilities and invest in communities in a way that's actually commensurate with the courage of our people, right? With the courage of the hunger strikers, with the courage of the folks who are willing to put their bodies on the line every single day, right? But in a sector where less than 10% of our resources go to BIPOC-led organization, I think Make the Road reminds all of us that real change, transformative change, lasting change actually happens from the ground up. right? It's fueled by leaders like the hunger strikers who are willing to put their hearts and body on the line to protect the things that we care most about, right? Our homes, our families, our community, and our dignity. You remind us of the untapped and immense potential and the power of our people if only philanthropy actually resourced communities like we really wanted them to succeed and really believed in their ability to fight back and fight forward even during the darkest moments. Because honestly, I have to share with y'all that it's been during some of those darkest moments of the last decade that Make the Roads Light has really shined brightest for me. You know, I remember seeing that spark of defiance marching alongside Make the Road members during the mass mobilizations in the wake of the Muslim ban and the ICE raids, right? I remember tasting it, right? Over rice and beans and maduros in your office, hearing the stories of your members as they fought for decent housing and jobs and education. And I felt it deep, deep, deep in my belly, you know, as I mourned the loss of my mother, you know, mi querida vieja, you know, who passed alongside so many of your incredible leaders, right? All victims of the same failed system, you know, that put the lives and bodies of our people and our communities at most risk. And so over the last decade, for me, it's like been a privilege to see your spark really grow into this beacon of hope across New York that really is fundamentally transforming the progressive landscape. I mean, I've seen you grow from this neighborhood-based organization with offices in Queens and Brooklyn to this statewide powerhouse with over 24,000 members from Long Island to Westchester, and this incredible growing national footprint with sister organizations in New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. And I've seen the kind of radical solidarity that is at the core of your movement, right? The way you've partnered with allies across the city and the state to really win these groundbreaking victories over the last year, right? From protecting DACA and the passage of the New York State DREAM Act, to reining in private prisons and detention industry, to the incredible win around the creation of the Fund for Excluded Workers that we're celebrating tonight. To me, all of these victories are reminders of the transformative power of organizing, of coalition building, of leadership development, in making the impossible possible. And for me, that offers us a model and a path forward for the kinds of investments that are really necessary to transform the politics and policies of our state and our nation. And they also remind me of the importance of investing in people and relationships, right? Because it's not just about projects and campaigns, it's people and relationships that are like the bedrock of our movement infrastructure. And I got to tell you that to me, there's no greater testament to the power and impact of your commitment to that transformative leadership than seeing the three of y'all, Arlenis, Theo, Jose, emerge from the ranks of Make the Road, right? From the base and take the helm of the organization to the next decade. And so I'm excited. I'm grateful and excited for what lies ahead for Make the Road under your leadership. I'm looking forward, you know, to continue to break bread with y'all in your beautiful new headquarters, right? So I know where you are and I know where to find you. And I'm looking forward to continue to walk alongside you, right? As a movement ally, wherever I sit, inside or outside philanthropy, because there's a long and finished road to justice that we still need to walk. And I'm looking forward to walking alongside with y'all. So I'll close with what my mom would probably say, right? If she was here tonight, right? Because she said it to me on her deathbed, actually, you know? I cheered her on and I said, Mommy, seguimos, pa'lante, pa'lante. And she, without skipping a beat, said, pa'lante, mijo, pa'lante, pa' atrás y pa' coger impulso. So pa'lante, mi gente, it is an honor and a privilege, and I'm so grateful for everything that you do and everything that you will do. Gracias.
Thank you so much, hermano. It's such a joy to be in this work with you. As Jerry mentioned, and as you may know, we are on the brink of another milestone achievement. We're building a new landmark community center in the heart of Queens, a permanent home that says we're here to stay. We will complete construction and move in next year. We have many people to thank for helping us get to this historic moment. Our deep gratitude to these individuals and institutions for being early supporters of this new center, our casita, and for helping us make this dream a reality. This center is an investment in Make the Road New York community and our long-term financial security. By more than doubling our space for services and programs, it would help us reach and serve more people than ever before. It would allow us to take our organizing to the next level to build collective action in New York and beyond. This new center will feature 2 commissioned art projects that will reflect the beauty and spirit of our communities. This new home will be a place where we all belong. We can't wait to welcome you there when construction is completed next year. In the meantime, check out even more images and details on our website. The link is in the chat.
Now we are thrilled to introduce our final honoree. These 2 individuals have dedicated their careers to exposing injustice, upholding dignity, and speaking truth to power. They need little introduction, but I'll turn it over to Theo to share just some of their accomplishments.
I'm so excited to present the Dignity Award to Juan Gonzalez and Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! Juan and Amy have dedicated their lives and careers to exposing injustice and elevating the voices of those who are most often left out of the halls of power. They have done this day in and day out, year after year, often at great personal risk. Amy and Juan's journalism provides a critical platform for telling the stories of the community members most impacted by racism, xenophobia, transphobia, climate destruction, and more. As a young person, Juan Gonzalez helped lead the anti-Vietnam War movement in New York. He went on to become the first Minister of Education for the Young Lords, calling for self-determination for Puerto Ricans and an end to racism, and inspiring generations of community members to demand power. He later became a journalist, bringing his perspective to the Daily News and then Democracy Now! Amy Goodman's long career as a writer and a journalist has touched on countless issues, from indigenous peoples' land rights in North America to the role of U.S. corporations in fomenting civil wars in Africa and Asia. In 1996, she co-founded Democracy Now!, which has become one of the most influential progressive news institutions. Juan and Amy, we are incredibly grateful for your work, and I am honored to present you with the Dignity Award.
Well, thank you so much for this honor and for recognizing the work that Democracy Now! Has done for 25 years now, as we've sought to cover precisely the kind of community organizing and social justice advocacy that Make the Road and other groups perform every day with so much zeal and dedication. Our journalism seeks to shine a light on those activists that commercial media often ignore and try to marginalize, to give voice to the voiceless. On the show and in my own journalism, we've sought to shine the light not merely on the problems of U.S. society, but social movements around the world that seek greater democracy and economic equality from their own governments, that struggle for climate justice and that constantly challenge the handful of imperial nations that keeps trying to dominate world affairs. And we hope that that message continues to get across to the younger generation as well as the old timers like ourselves. So thank you so much for this honor.
And I echo what Juan has said, and I'm so honored to be here, honored with Juan. But what I really see this as is honoring what you see behind me, which is the whole Democracy Now! Team, a group of remarkable journalists and videographers deeply committed to independent media and bringing out the voices of groups like yours. I was asking you, Thea, wasn't this Make the Road by Walking a while ago? And I do think that your work, the social activism of Make the Road, is very much like from that poem. It is poetry, Make the Road by Walking. Everything that you all do to elevate the voices of and the lives of people who are so often kept at the margins. But as we have learned very much through this last year, as the whole world has long learned, essential to the functioning of our societies, and yet treated as expendable. At Democracy Now!, this is not about expendability. I really think that the voices of people who are marginalized, who are working to ensure their family's future, their community's future, are not a fringe minority, not even a silent majority, but the silenced majority, silenced by the corporate media. And that's what we're trying to puncture here at Democracy Now!, that veil of silence that is so often around the majority of people. I just thank you so much, because Make the Roads Work means so much to us. And so this is a tremendous honor.
I'm Sienna Fontaine. I'm the legal director and general counsel at Make the Road. I would love for both of you to answer or tell us a little bit about what launched you particularly onto this path, really, that your career has taken. And maybe we'll start with that, and Juan, if you want to start.
Well, I'd always wanted to work in journalism from the time I worked on my high school newspaper, but I didn't merge the issue of a career in journalism with social activism until I was in college and got involved in the anti-war movement in the 60s and the Columbia student strike of 1968, which I played a big role in. And subsequently, I then joined the Young Lords, and was part of the founding group of the New York Young Lords. And that really was what provided me the impetus to understand the necessity, one, to organize people at the community and grassroots level to be able to affect social change. And for those who may have seen, I know some members of Make the Road have seen the recent film Takeover, that sort of documents some of the work that we did as community organizers back then. We're talking 50 years ago, to change our health system. And we always felt that direct action, confrontation with those who are not being responsive to the communities are often necessary. So we adopted sort of an in-your-face approach to health reform, where we would actually just set up patient complaint tables in the emergency rooms of hospitals across the city to pressure the hospitals to provide better health services, preventative health services, instead of treating the patients when they're already sick. Preventing them from getting sick was the best way to create a health system. And also, we fought to establish basic patients' Bill of Rights that eventually was adopted across the country, still exists today. So we saw the necessity for community mobilization, for policy changes, and for confrontation to affect change. And so I think that the successes we had when we were just youngsters really made me understand, one, that social struggle is the only way that things get done. But most importantly, and that comes with journalism, who controls the narrative? Who controls the narrative of what you are doing? So we, from an early age, understood the necessity of controlling our own narrative. That's why so many ex-Young Lords ended up getting into media, because we understood that the media control the narrative in American society. And unless you figure out a way to shape that narrative, people will get the wrong idea about what you're doing. So I think that those are the two main things: dedication to social struggle at the grassroots level, and two, understanding the importance of narrative, that have shaped my understanding of my role in journalism and my role in covering and reporting on social struggles.
And Amy, the last 2 years through COVID and the end of the end of the Trump years have been some of the most difficult in all of our lives. What has it been like to report the news through this period? And what lessons from this time will continue to inform your work moving forward?
as we moved from Obama into Trump, then Trump to Biden, while you had this vicious language that was used by Trump, the vilification of the other. When you look at the actual policies and practices of the administration, that is key. I do think words matter. And it was critical to call out Trump on every lie, every vicious, hate-filled, bigoted comment he made. But you look, for example, at the issue of the border, which isn't just an issue. It is people's lives desperately fleeing poverty, climate change, violence, coming over the border. Under President Biden, we've seen more deportations and arrests than through all of Trump proportionately. And of course, under President Obama, even his immigrant allies, immigrant rights allies, people he had inside the White House and outside, ended up calling him the deporter in chief. And so it's really important to take on language, and as journalists, that's critical, but to look at what people are doing on the ground. And that's what we call out at Democracy Now!, showing most recently the number of people who've died in the Sonoran Desert, in the Chihuahuan Desert, this unforgiving places that more and more people are forced into as the border is militarized. And hearing the voices of people themselves describe those journeys, only telling their stories when they can't tell their own. That's really the role of the media. What inspires me is the work that groups like Make the Road do, and so many groups in this country and around the world, that you keep going. I think what most inspires me is, what did Isabel Allende say? She said, for every thug there are 1,000 compañeros and compañeras in every community. Is that the goodness so overwhelms the bad, and we have to have a media that reflects that majority, not the minority elite. And I'm not talking about people of color, that small circle of pundits on all the networks that know so little about so much, and so often get it wrong. We have to bust open that ceiling and let the voices of people everywhere, particularly in struggle, be heard.
Thank you so much, Juan and Amy. We are so grateful for all the ways you uplift our community's struggles and victories. One ongoing struggle is the fight for just and humane immigration reform in this country. For 3 decades, the immigrant rights movement has demanded real protections, but those protections have been denied. For 4 years, our community sustained attacks by a racist and xenophobic administration. As we defended ourselves and fought to preserve temporary protections, we were promised the new leadership would mean substantive change and a pathway to citizenship. Now our movement is demanding that those leaders in Washington deliver on that promise. What our communities need is a pathway to citizenship, and our members from across all of our states, from New York and Nevada, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut, have been unified in this demand. As we celebrate our accomplishments tonight, we know that this entire community is the source of our power. So we're asking you to take action with us. We're asking you take a minute from this celebration to take action in the fight for citizenship, and do it now. Click on the link in the chat and take action with us.
Thank you so much for taking action. As we close this program, we reflect on what we've accomplished and the work that still lies ahead. As an organization and as a movement, 2 things are simultaneously true. First, we have built meaningful power. We've won victories that most people thought were completely impossible. We've transformed this city and we've built power across the state and in Albany. We've brought our model to other states to build local power there and to impact national politics. All of this is true. At the same time, our communities are still suffering and are still facing deep inequalities and injustice.
And it's those realities that we carry with us every day. Yes, our organization and our movement have real power. And yes, we must use every single ounce of it to win victories at the scale that is needed for real transformation, to truly change the conditions of our members' lives, to fully remove police from schools, to defund the police and transform public safety, to decriminalize sex work,
to win health insurance for everyone, regardless of immigration status, to make housing affordable for people across our state. We have been told too many times in the past that what we demand is not realistic or not possible. We have proven otherwise. And together with our honorees, our members, our partners, and all of you, we will not stop until we achieve all of this. Sí se puede. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you for all of your support. Have a wonderful evening.